Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, 3 Knuckles, Adventure 1, Adventure 2, Heroes, 06, Unleashed, and Colors all got levels in Sonic Generations. But what if those levels were different? Well, in celebration of Sonic X Shadow Generations coming out relatively soon, I decided to go through all the levels from Sonic Generations and pick new ones from each respective game. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with Sonic 1, having to replace Green Hill Zone was a pretty odd choice, but when I realized what I was having to pick from, it was kind of obvious what I was going to pick. I decided to pick Labyrinth Zone. Now, hey, before you grab your torches and pitchforks, hear me out. Labyrinth Zone is notorious for being Sonic 1's water level. Every Sonic game has one, and I think it'd be really great for a newer generation of Sonic games to experience water levels in a way that we really don't experience anymore. Also to introduce them to the horrifying aspect of drowning. Please, God, let me breathe! In terms of how the gameplay would actually work, I was thinking having Classic Sonic have to go through the maze lowering the water level so he could actually make it through, or Modern Sonic running atop the water so that he could get to the end as fast as possible, as with boost gameplay. In terms of Sonic 2, Sonic 2 had a ton of levels. Must be nice to be God's favorite, huh? However, I really only had two that stuck out to me. Metropolis Zone and Casino Night Zone. However, as soon as I realized that Metropolis Zone meant bringing back these malevolent cretins, then my choice became clear. Casino Night Zone would effectively act as a break from the anxiety-inducing level design that would be Labyrinth Zone. Obviously, Classic Sonic will continue to be using his slot machines for the main casino gimmick, but I was thinking that Modern Sonic would be using more so pinball. Also, just for funsies, I was thinking that the loops in either of those, either in the Classic or Modern levels, would be like roulette tables. Just for fun. For Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I decided to do something a little different. Instead of selecting just a level for Sonic and Knuckles, seeing as Sonic 3 technically didn't get a level in Sonic Generations, I decided to choose a Sonic 3 level for Classic Sonic and a Sonic and Knuckles level for Modern Sonic. So, Classic Sonic will be getting Marble Garden Zone. I know Marble Garden Zone's a pretty obscure pick, but I really do enjoy the way the level looks, and I think they could do a lot with Marble Garden Zone's, like, spinning top mechanic, where you get on the top, and it's like the second you hit the ground on the top when it's rolling, you go flying. That, and also the sort of spiral that you go down with it, I think they could do a lot with, like, launching you up in the air, and then you have to, like, land back down. I think you could do some really good badnik bounces with that. And for Modern Sonic, I decided to give him Lava Reef Zone. Another obscure pick, but I really do think that Lava Reef could act similar to Flame Core in the sense that you get some really tight platforming in there, and that's a pretty good level. I like to think that Lava Reef would have, like, platforms flowing in the lava that, like, you have to jump on and, like, move back and forth from platform to platform. When I got to the more modern age of Sonic, I had a lot harder of a time trying to pick new levels because they did away with the whole act system by this point. Now, instead of having 2 or 3 levels in the same, like, zone, you had one level in a zone and then you kept going. But when because I just recently replayed Sonic Adventure 1, so Windy Valley stuck out to me a lot as the choice for this game, because Windy Valley had a lot of untapped potential that was limited technically by the Dreamcast. And what I was thinking we could do with Windy Valley is Classic Sonic would be more so stuck inside of the tornado, and he would have to sort of platform his way up out of the tornado. Similar to how in Windy Valley in Adventure, Sonic had to use the jump pads to jump sort of out of the tornado. Now, Modern Sonic, on the other hand, would be a lot more like Crisis City is in Generations, where there'd be a lot more tight platforming on floating pieces of terrain that were ripped up from the tornado, and the occasional bridge so you are reminded, hey, I'm in Windy Valley. Having to replace Cityscape was tough, because Cityscape is like that level from Sonic Adventure 2. So, it has some pretty big shoes to fill. And I actually replayed Adventure 2 recently, so all the levels were fresh in my mind. And 2 levels stuck out to me for pretty good additions for Sonic Generations. One of them was Green Forest. Now, Green Forest is actually pretty similar to City Escape now that I think about it, at least in terms of the intro.
Attention all units.
But I also realized that that would be really repetitive, seeing as I just added Windy Valley for Sonic Adventure 1. So instead, I decided to pick Metal Harbor. But specifically, Eggman's Metal Harbor. And here's how that would go. Classic Sonic would be inside of the ships. So he would be going through the interior of the ships, trying to get from start to finish. And, you know, dodging gun robots that are in the ships. However, Sonic would be more so trying to get from boat to boat. So I was thinking, you know, a lot of homing attack chains and stuff like that. And at the end, they could do a quick step section where they have planes dropping bombs on you in certain lanes, and you have to go out of that lane to avoid it. Similar to how they just sort of, like, corner roast you in Sonic Adventure 2 on Metal Harbor. The bombs coming out of nowhere. I freaking hate you! Sonic Heroes was tough because out of all the games in Generations, I've never played Sonic Heroes. That is the only game on this list that I have not played. So I actually had to look up a, like, list of the stages and go through all of them, like, watch walkthroughs or playthroughs of all of them so I could figure out how I was going to go about this. And something I think could be really creative, Grand Metropolis. I feel like Grand Metropolis is slept on as a stage because a lot can be done with it creatively. Like, we could have classic Sonic having to go through, like, platforms that are just disappearing and reappearing, and modern Sonic having more quick step sections of entire lanes just ceasing to exist and then existing again. So yeah, I can't really say a whole lot about it though, because again, I've never played it. You see, in terms of level design, I firmly believe that Sonic 06 has some of the best levels, at least thematically. And nowhere has that seemed better than in Crisis City. So, replacing Crisis City was certainly a task. And it's gonna pain some people when I say that Kingdom Valley was not my pick. And even if Kingdom Valley wasn't being given to Shadow in Sonic X Shadow Generations, which is the reason why I didn't pick it, I still don't think I would have picked it. Because it's just, I don't know what else they could have done with it. Or at least how it would translate to classic Sonic. Now, what I did think of is Radical Train. Because Radical Train, at least in terms of the Mach Speed section, would fit very well into the boost formula of gameplay. And gameplay-wise, I think it would start with a quick step section where there's 3 sets of tracks and you have to quick step in between them to dodge oncoming trains. Similar to the second level of Sonic Forces Overclocked. Now, Classic Sonic was where it got a bit tricky, because Classic Sonic is kind of a stranger to trains. But then I thought, why don't I make it like Mirage Saloon? So that's what I decided to do. It would start with Classic Sonic trying to run up to the back of a train. Then you would jump onto said train, and from that point, it would function pretty similar to Mirage Saloon Act 1. Where you are going in and out of the carts, and I guess maybe for some carts there would be like, I don't know, item monitors, or I guess. You know, I don't really, the only problem that I would have with this stage is how linear it would be. Because Mirage Saloon Act 1 The train part was obviously not the whole level because of how linear it was. Now, am I sure that people can do a lot with a train in terms of not making it linear? Yeah, but I just feel like that in terms of level, I think that's the best shot for both classic and modern Sonic gameplay. You see, Sonic Unleashed was a pretty mixed game, not just in terms of reviews, but also in terms of gameplay styles. You had the daytime stages where you would boost through entire hordes of enemies as fast as possible to go from one place to another, but then you also had the nighttime stages where you'd be playing as the Werehog, and levels on average would take 30 minutes to beat. So, to show this stark contrast in gameplay styles, I decided to give modern Sonic a daytime stage and classic Sonic a nighttime stage, because the nighttime stages were often more so for platforming. So, I decided to use Savannah Citadel. And the reason I chose Savannah Citadel was because of one word: drifting. See, a lot of stages that I've picked don't exactly revolve a lot around drifting. So, getting people accustomed to the drift mechanic is also a pretty neat touch. Think of it as a late game tutorial level, at least for modern Sonic. For classic Sonic, you'd have to worry about Dark Gaia creatures and Sonic Colors didn't have a whole lot of levels to choose from, so that made my job a whole lot easier. Replacing Planet Wisp will be Starlight Carnival, and functionally, it's pretty straightforward. Sonic is going to be on the outside running on trails of energy, while Classic Sonic is going to be more so inside the ship. And Classic Sonic will be utilizing the blue cube Wisp for helping with platforming, and Modern Sonic will be more so using the Hover Wisp. I couldn't really think of a whole lot to do with this, but however, that's the entirety of Colors, so I guess that's just what it is. But with all that being said, what stages would you guys have picked? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss anything whenever I post it, which has been wildly inconsistent. Anyways, see ya.